The title of this podcast is How the Practice and My Friend Helped Me Let Go in Order to Grow. Yesterday, I received a request from my mom, and she sent a text message early in the day and said, "Hey, Keith, every time that you have called me over the last several years, you've asked if there was anything that I need. And we are in the process of doing some home repairs, and I have a request of you." And I called her back and said, in order to share with her that absolutely I can help. I got a voicemail and she called back. And when she called back, she shared the request for me and she said that, I said, "How much do you need?" And she said, $5,000. And at that moment, I had that Chevy Chase, kind of experience that he had in the movie Vacation with his cousin Eddie. I was expecting, my mom to say $500. And I was like, absolutely, $500. I'll send you the money right now. And just like Chevy Chase in the movie, when he pulled out his wallet for his cousin Eddie, and was opening it up to take out a couple of $100 bills, Eddie says $52,000. And you see Chevy Chase stuffing the bills back into his wallet and then putting it back in his pocket. Like he didn't expect that size of the request. And so I remember like processing this real time and telling my mom, "I can do 3,000 for sure. Let me send you 3,000." And she was grateful for the 3,000, as is my mom, who rarely asks for anything. But after we hung up the phone and for the next several hours, $3,000 just seemed to really bother me. And then by using my practice and letting go of attachment to like the size of my savings and how much money I was putting away or thought I would put away this month in my savings, with letting that go, that attachment, I accepted, the $5,000 request. My mom doesn't know this yet, but I've accepted that I'm going to send her $5,000. So, and what helped me think about it was, and forget it, spiritually, I was on board. What helped me convince my mind that this is what we're doing and I'm the boss in here was remembering that several years prior to this request, my mom's air conditioning unit was not the best at our home back in Tennessee, where the summer temperatures can be uncomfortable with the humidity. And so I sent her $6,000 to get a brand new air conditioning unit. And since I gave her that money, I never thought about how much it was ever again. Like it was gone. Like I was so unattached to it. And so remembering that, I thought that I'm going to give her $5,000, and as soon as I do, I won't be attached to it anymore. I will forget about it just like I did last time. So the mind was able to accept that, and it didn't matter if it would have accepted or not. The plan was made. So earlier today, I was on the phone with Tim, and I was talking with him like I do on a regular basis, us being very good friends. And I shared with him this story, and he's laughing the whole time. And he said to me, "Hey, listen, that $500 that you had in your mind when you talked to your mom and you were expecting that was the number that she was going to give," he said, "that was light work. You didn't need your practice for that. When she said $5,000, that's when you needed your practice to be activated." And he was absolutely right. Eckhart Tolle tells this story about you feeling pretty good about yourself of being kind and thoughtful and considerate, and you're sitting in the checkout line at a grocery store, and the line is pretty long and you're letting people with fewer items than you go ahead of you. And that's cool. That's not bothering you at all. You notice up front that the person who is checking out forgot their checkbook and now they got to run out to the car and grab their checkbook and bring it back in. You're even cool with that. Next, they're asking for price checks of the people in front of you, and there's really no one to go and do the price check in an expeditious fashion. That's not even bother you. But then that cashier leaves to go on break and they bring in somebody else who's never even seen a cash register before, and that's when you lose it. That's when you need to practice. Not the instances before, you didn't need it then. And the same thing here. when it's $500 or a number that I had in my head that was okay, uh, that wasn't attached to any kind of idea of, scarcity or any financial kind of solvency idea that I had. Once it started to, in my mind, the ego's mind, threaten that, that's when I needed to practice. And so Tim told me that, and then he went on to share with me that, my mom, whose name is Dora, asking for my support was a gift from someone who had hardly ever asked me for anything. And I totally agree with him. My mom is in her late 70s, approaching 80, and she is in excellent physical health. Her cognitive ability is as sharp as ever, and she wants for nothing, hardly ever asks for anything. As I mentioned before, I'll send her money, on birthday and holidays and Mother's Day and things like that. And she's so grateful. I share my Netflix password with her, and you'd think that I'd given her a kidney. That's how grateful this woman is. And so Tim was like, for someone who seldom asks for anything, her asking you for this support is really a gift, KJ. And he went on to say, he said he wished his mom was still alive, who passed from cancer over 12 years ago. So he would have the opportunity to give to her. What a great friend I have in Tim that helps me keep my ego in check and remember that I'm here to give, I'm here to serve, and to take nothing for myself. So I'm grateful for the gift of my practice and for Tim and for this opportunity to honor my mom's request. And so if there's something that you're attached to that someone is asking for, asking you to help with, consider, doing so. You know, Obviously you don't want to be taken advantage of or given a way that actually prevents other people from growing. But if it's an opportunity for you to grow, consider doing it because this has certainly been a gift for me.